right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. Let's continue the conversation. There's something else that has come up as well. We'll talk about it shortly on the county news there. But first, let's finish up with the CDF conversation and then get into the conversation on devolution matters now. Let's see what you're saying in terms of CDF. Let's bring up your views. The role of CDF can be taken care of by county government. MPs fear without it, they'll be irrelevant to their constituents. They are hiding behind a bursary of fees because it's their milking cow. Okay. Oringe Waswa says the state of the nation seems bleak and hazy. The courts declared NGCDF unconstitutional, which has led to a battlefront between the legislature and the executive. If things aren't resolved in good time, we are headed to a grinding halt. Okay? Let's see what else you're saying here. Godi Baraza says the William Ruto administration should deploy every mechanism available at its disposal to resolve the NGCDF standoff. If things are left to go on the way they are going, then the affairs of this nation will get more complicated. Okay? Engineer Lazaro says CDF is the best method for sharing national cake even to the most marginalized areas. Executives should think twice before approving such punitive court rulings. All right? All right. Remy Butia says NGCDF should continue. A couple of reforms will, however, be necessary and should be oversighted by the Senate, like all funds going to political units. NGCDF and county planning should be aligned to avoid wastage and duplication. Bartoe says that idea from Senator Buhalwale is brilliant. MPs, senators, MCAs should step aside from performing implementation of government funds. They can only have some oversight funds. Okay. Is that the end of it? All right, let's see. Yes, Halwale, your response to the deputy governor.
No, deputy governor is expecting that I could have worked so hard so that we win an election and form government. Then I come to a TV station on a State of the Nation address, debate and apologize for being in defense of the same government. It is my government. Irrespective of the fact that I am not the president, that I am not the chief minister, that I am not one of the ministers, that does not mean that you become part of parliament if only you are at the very top. It is our government and we want to defend it. The basis that informs my current contribution is that members of the public will be very happy if they hear that parliament ran last night up to midnight, fast-tracking amendments that are made to ensure that the ruling by the courts that CDF should be aligned so that it is in tandem with the Constitution, with the provisions of the Constitution, they will be very happy that we are working hard to unlock it. But instead of us working to unlock that, we want to be part of an attempt to create a gridlock. Then the public will not be happy with us. I am saying I support CDF, but I'm saying let us make amendments so that there is no unnecessary push and pull.
Okay.
So this I will do. And Governor, you are going to be happier if the same gusto that we shall use to help CDF to function will be the same one that we shall use to help you as governors to get money. Trevor, when we came to Parliament, when we came to Senate a few weeks ago, I quickly went round my hospitals in Kakamega and discovered that the services were very bad, and the same is in Machakos, where Governor comes from. Why? Because money that used to be called unconditional funds had not for 2 years been released to governors. We have moved so fast that even on the order paper this morning, after we do the Yala elections, we are fast-tracking it so that we take money to these guys. That is the way we want to work. We want to work differently from the handshake BBI government that used to spend all its time using MPs to do politics. We want to spend our time MPs legislating, not doing activism, they say, the way I've seen Wandai and Junet doing. Thank God they never won. This country will still be in politics instead of doing legislation.
Now, that's an interesting perspective to bring in, because there is that conversation, and you brought our attention to it, Honorable Mwangangi, page 23 of the Daily Nation County News. Governors and Treasury headed for a clash over budget slash. So they're saying governors and the national government are headed for a clash over the slashing of 8 billion grants for counties. The county chiefs question the rationale used by the National Treasury for the reduction as contained in the county government additional allocation bill. Is this the right move? What are your views on this, first of all?
Tragedy, once again. You remember the Kenya Kwanza administration, of which Dr. here, so Honorable Senator, was one of the key proponents. They were to fight for resources to go to grassroots level. But now look at what this administration is doing. They are taking away CDF without offering a solution to the masses who are suffering. You can see now, instead of taking more funds to the counties, so that so many areas of this country, historically, who have been alienated from the national development, are developed. You can see now what they are doing, taking and slashing that money, taking it back to the sender. That makes us even start wondering, is the promise of Kenya Kwanza administration that within the first 6 months, they will have devolved everything, including funds that are supposed to go to counties? Is it going to be a reality, really, if we continue with this kind of trend? Trevor, I think in a way and indirectly, there was a 1965 session paper that was signed and was directed at certain areas of this country and leaving others out. I think in a systematic way, that is what Kenya Kwanza is doing against their promise of strengthening devolution, taking more resources to the, and also strengthening the fight against corruption. Because it is not a question of taking resources to the counties or to the grassroots at the sub-counties. The looting which the viewers are alleging within the national government constituency development should be dealt with by the government. Kenyans are highly taxed people. They should use those monies. They should use the national agencies, the investigative agencies, to ensure that kind of mismanagement, that kind of looting does not exist.
Okay.
And what the governor, what the leaders at whatever level are supposed to do are doing. We need to adhere to the law. Okay. But it is very bad that leaders will go out there, we campaign on the platform of taking more resources to the grassroots, ensuring whatever has not been done is done. And then once we are in the office, we change that position, and now we start, instead of taking more resources to the grassroots, we start now reducing those resources. Yeah. I think it is a little bit unfair.
Senator, are you shooting the executives in the foot by lowering this cash now? Because they're saying that the bill allocated various conditions and unconditional grants to the devolved units, but the National Treasury has been reluctant to release the funds until the bill becomes law. But the biggest contention here is that it was allocated at 31.8 billion to counties, now reduced to 23.7 billion.
Precisely.
Yeah.
Senators, under the Constitution, are charged with the responsibility of protecting the interests of the people of counties and their governments. They would be the last people to reduce the money. If anything, senators would increase. This is poor reporting. In fact, this headline is coming out of a committee meeting between us senators and the Council of Governors, which was represented by Governor of Wajir, Abdullahi, and Governor of Kakamega, Fernandez Barasa. And we explained why the money has come down. We are the ones who fought for it to unlock the 2 years hiatus that they have been not getting the money. Governor, it is this way. The previous bill was carrying two types of funds. It had combined equalization fund together with the additional fund. Equalization fund under Article 204 of the Constitution is different from additional funds. Equalization fund under 204 is the 0.5% of the budget that is meant to go and correct the injustice which he has referred to, that was born out of sessional paper number 10 of 1965 that locked out the ASAL areas, some of the ASAL areas, principally Turkana, Mandera, Marsabit, Wajir, out of development. So the budget, in the Constitution under 204, then created an equalization fund. Now, when this bill was first passed by Parliament, previously, combining the two funds, then the courts made a determination that the two funds are different. They cannot be managed under one bill. So what have we done, Governor? We have now separated the two bills. There is now an act that is driving the equalization fund, and this one here that is now driving the additional funds. And what are additional funds? Additional funds are the monies that don't come from revenue, but come from development partners, grants and loans, which then the national government shares out to the devolved units. So what we have done is that the money which was within this 31.88 by virtue of belonging to equalization fund, we have removed it. We are now carrying purely additional funds. Okay. So the lower figure is the pure additional funds, and we shall quickly help our governors to solve their problems while we wait for equalization. Now, why is it wrong to wait for equalization? Equalization fund required that you cannot have a fund without a board. So the equalization fund, just like we have the NSSF fund board, just like we have the NHIF fund board, the courts rule that we must have a board. Now there's a board in place. So we are separating that one because additional funds do not require a board. They are not a fund. We are being more professional. We want to respect the Constitution more. And because in the Senate you find older members of Parliament, more experienced members of Parliament, we want to do things better so that at least we can earn the name that we are the senior house.
You see,
yes,
it is interesting. This morning I'm sitting next to, this is not the bullfight I knew. You know what the national government has done through National Treasury is there's something we found in counties called KSAP, Kenya Climate Smart Agriculture Project. This is a World Bank funded project to improve on the issues touching on environment. Environment has led us to where we are. And improving it, I thought climate change being an international, a global agenda, in Kenya, instead of reducing resources going to climate change, going to environment, you can see the good senator here and the whip of the Senate, the government now speaking, they are reducing even such funds. We are headed for a disaster, Senator Karole, sincerely. We need, and you as a scientist, I think this one you need to fight for it, and I will hold you to account on this one. As a friend, I think you have to deal. Even climate, reducing And you know what is happening across the country, across the world. Even the National Treasury, the good professor must look into this. It's about life, okay. Human life, okay. And it is very important.
Right. Governor, you are right, and I support you. I'm bringing further clarity to this reporting that the money has not been reduced. The money has been separated. The 31.88 billion will still arrive on the ground, only that it will arrive in 2 packages, packed on one hand as equalization fund and packed on the other side as additional fund. You know why that is important, Mheshimiwa? It is because the equalization fund is not available for the 47 counties.
Okay.
The equalization fund is available to the ASAL, the counties that are from the ASAL areas.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So it will arrive in that manner. And over and above that, additional will arrive,
yeah.
But additional is for everybody.
Okay.
Let me speak very briefly to the issue as raised about climate change.
Yeah.
Governor, this is how it works in Parliament. And I know you have become rusty because you were last in Parliament many years ago. This is how it works. When money for climate change comes, you don't take the money and throw it in the office of the governor in Machakos. You separate the money because inside the climate change, there will be a portion that will be due to Machakos for water issues, due to Machakos for health issues, due to Machakos for agriculture issues. So the implementing officers in those 3 departments, for example, in Machakos, are the ones that the national government goes to, and then they implement. But governors had seen a quick fund that was going to arrive in the constitution. Then they end up not applying that money for water, for health, and so on. So we have separated it. Let equalization fund come as equalization fund, and additional funds to come as additional funds.
Okay.
We are bringing you all the money, but in a more organized manner.
Okay.
Not BBI, not TBIM DIPE, not TLLA. No, properly done.
Okay. Let's move to a different conversation. This is the state of the nation where we touch all matters, politics, and everything else in between. Now,
Trevor,
yes.
Just a point of correction.
Yeah.
He's right, you know what he's saying, 3/4. But a quarter is politics. And I'm sure he is fully aware.
Yeah.
This KISAP funds, it is so strict, it is so seriously oversighted, no room for any governor to interfere with those funds. Okay. In fact, any project that was not implemented anywhere across this country had to go back to the World Bank. Okay. It was not utilized for anything else. They are so strict. In fact, it has its own account. So, Senator, I think you need to correct that. Number 2, please, whip. Yeah. Be a whip to advance and strengthen devolution in this country. That is the way to go. And I'm saying this because any country that has developed anywhere in the country, they have decentralized what we are discussing here this morning. They have strong devolution, which is what we are discussing in this country. And I can give an example. Yeah. Go to South Korea. How did they advance? The same strategy. America was poorer than Kenya, but they sent a small delegation to India. They found that they had done a devolution of sort at the village level. And you remember that was as a result of Mahatma Gandhi's famous quote that India was not going to develop because of how many industrial towns they are going to develop, but how many villages they will transform. ASLA came with bottom up. Now you can see they are now becoming up bottom by getting money from the bottom to up to the center again. So I think, Senator, be consistent, and that will be very good for this country.
All right. Let's switch gears now and talk about something else that's still on the front page of the Daily